The number one reason insurance denies roof claims, it's not what you think. Insurance companies aren't denying your claim because you don't have damage. They're denying it because they don't have documentation. This is why we use drones, AI technology, satellite imagery, and just good old roofing experience to document everything that might be wrong with your roof. You as a homeowner need a roofer with documentation standards. Call Absolute Restoration. Let us come and inspect, document, and present.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Good evening and Merry Christmas Eve. We are approaching our Christmas holiday fast, but luckily the forecast staying pretty much the same. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe, and we are talking the latest on our Christmas Eve and Christmas Day forecast, but we all know the trend that's going to continue. We've been talking about it all week long. It's those warm temperatures. So let's go ahead and get into that forecast. First headline we're tracking here in the Room to Room Weather Center is silent night, foggy morning. Yes, a little bit of a trade-off. Those great conditions do have to factor into some of those foggy starts just because of that moisture that's still in the air. No rainfall, but it does make for a foggy start. But it doesn't end there. I'm dreaming of a warm Christmas, that's for sure, as we head into our Christmas holiday, just because these warm temperatures are not going anywhere. Those continue into our Christmas morning and into our Christmas afternoon, and you guessed it, into our Christmas evening. Let's get a look at the forecast beyond. All I want for Christmas is cold, and we will be getting that, not for Christmas, but we're looking at that extended pattern coming up here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We again thank you so much for joining us, and we are going to have all of these answers and breakdowns coming up in just a moment. The first 12, 7 p.m., 65 degrees. As we head overnight, you can see temperatures do cool off, but cool off is a stretch. We're only dropping into the mid to upper 50s, and as a result of that little bit of wind we do have, that allows for that moisture to remain overhead and result in some patchy fog for those morning commutes, at least those early morning commuters before that sunshine does burn it up. Let's get a look outside right now. Kosciuszko 64 degrees. Church is having their Christmas Eve services tonight. If you are heading out to one here in the next few moments, it's going to be a great forecast for it. Just may need the short sleeves because temperatures around the mid 60s. Yeah, it's not exactly ideal or feeling like Christmas. So we walked outside today, my wife and I, we both went, ew. It's the best way to describe it. It's not how we should feel on Christmas. It should not be sticky outside. As we get a look there in the Golden Triangle, Starkville, 64 degrees, and you see that number up top, 0 miles an hour whenever it comes to those winds, allowing for that fog to once again settle in. And meteorologist Caleb Edelblut, I know that he'll have a Merry Christmas with his family, but maybe tracking some foggy conditions there in Stark Vegas. And we can't show Starkville without showing Oxford, both of our college towns here in North Mississippi. And I wanted to showcase a little bit of that traffic. And honestly, this is as calm as I've ever seen Oxford. 64 degrees, dew point still around 59 degrees. That breeze helping keep the fog out of the forecast. Not expected to continue forever. And that fog will settle in overnight. And we'll track those patchy fog conditions into your forecast. Mississippi Live Weather Radar dry across North Mississippi, and that'll continue to be the case overnight and into our Christmas. Now let's go ahead and look at this loop. This shows satellite imagery, and you have seen a few of those cumulus clouds working their way through the region. Unfortunately, it is night, but at least shows you that it has been a pretty mostly clear day, a pretty day, all things considered. And even as we sit here on the Wednesday evening, our Christmas Eve hours, that dense cloud cover right along the Tennessee state line. But for folks further off towards the south, it's a dry, mostly clear forecast, and we'll continue to enjoy those conditions into our Christmas Eve. Now let's get a look at our surface analysis, because this does tell us the bigger story of what's driving this entire pattern. Well, as you may know, high pressure remains right overhead, and that moisture that we're seeing from Oklahoma City all the way into Knoxville, Tennessee, no rainfall is attached to it. So that's a good sign moving forward, because that means if any of those greens pop up on Futurecast, because we've seen it the past 48 hours, that is not exactly going to verify. When it reaches the surface, it's so warm, or should I say so dry down here. It is warm too. But the dry factor is what keeps that moisture out of the forecast, well, at least when it comes to rain chances. But that lack of wind with moisture still being there in the air, that'll allow for some foggy starts to our Christmas morning. So as we get a look right here on Futurecast, you can see that cloud cover still remaining in place, but a lot of this going to be that low-end cloud cover along with some of that patchy fog. That's at the early morning hours of our Christmas, and we really don't escape the cloud cover as we get into our Christmas holidays, so don't be expecting an abundant sunshine, but a few breaks throughout the day, not an impossibility. And as we work work through the rest of our Christmas morning, we'll see those great conditions stick around. So foggy start to the day with mid-50s as we head out the door to go see friends and family. But as we get towards that afternoon time frame, 76 degrees. Hey, I know baby Jesus came as a gift, but another gift that is here in North Mississippi are these warm temperatures. Get to enjoy those all day long on our Christmas day. 76 degrees is where we top out by 3 p.m. and carrying over into those evening hours, mid to upper 60s continues. So what a blessing, right? What a way to celebrate the holiday season. And again, we're celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ and, of course, celebrating a great forecast heading into our Thursday. We're going to talk more details coming up in the next 60. We're also going to be talking for our cold weather fans when they can expect the drop in those temperatures. All of that coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6, coming up in the next 60.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
Hi, my name is Rosie. Regional Rehab Center helps kids like me by offering speech therapy, occupational therapy, and dyslexia therapy. Your support helps so many of us get what we need to grow and succeed. Please help the Rehab Center.
If you're a family of 4, 5,
or 6, 7,
Merry Christmas
from
Mississippi Live Weather.
That was good.
I think that was the one.
Okay.
Go.
oh, you guys didn't do it.
No, we didn't.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Exactly what you want to be talking about during your Christmas holiday is the warm air. Not just that, but record-setting warmth. Let's take a look at record high temperatures for your Christmas Eve. And this is throughout history, throughout all of the data that has been collected here in North Mississippi. 78 degrees in Tupelo, that was set in 2015 and 1955. 76 degrees in Memphis, set in 2015, and same thing, 1955. And Greenwood, not excluded from that 1955 warm-up, that was 80 degrees. So a warm forecast, it's not an impossibility, but it doesn't happen too often. And as we look at high temperatures across the area for our Christmas Eve, of course, you're seeing 78 in Tupelo, 75 in South Haven, with 76 actually being reported at the Memphis airport. And we're also getting 79 in Greenwood. So 2025. Tying records that were set in 2015, tying records that were set in 1955. So this warmth, it's not normal whatsoever, but it's not an impossibility. So soak up this warm air while you can, because it will not stick around forever. Into those overnight hours, it will continue into your Christmas morning. We're still in those mild conditions as we get 64 Oxford, 68 Senatobia, same thing New Albany, Boonville, Corinth, 65 in Tupelo, 64 Starkville, and 65 right around Belzona. As we get a look at some of our Mississippi Storm Chaser cameras around the area, Maben showing up at 64 degrees. But the winds are what we're paying attention to, with 0 miles an hour, allowing for that moisture to settle in and result in some patchy fog during our Christmas morning. Unfortunate, I know, but at least it's dry, and that's what matters. Not just in Maben are we tracking those warm conditions, but also there in Aberdeen, 64 degrees with that calm wind overhead. So not going to be shocked at all if those streets fill with a little bit more fog, especially into those early AM hours of our Christmas. Monroe County shaping up with a good forecast, and as we keep it moving over towards Pontotoc, still a beautiful night sky, still with a little bit of that cloud cover that's building in from the north, but that's that moisture that's in the air, allowing for that fog to be produced for our Thursday, for our Christmas morning. So Mississippi Live Weather Radar, what are we tracking? Nothing. Like we've been tracking the past 48 hours, continues to remain a very calm pattern overhead and not exactly a breezy one, and that's what's allowing for some of these foggy conditions to move in. So this evening, I know it's Christmas Eve, and what my family always loved to do, one of our traditions was making cookies for Santa. So we're baking up the forecast this evening, and as you can see, 63 degrees by 8, 61 by 10, and that fog starting to settle in by midnight tonight, 59 degrees. As we get into our Christmas holiday, it's just going to be so exciting. Santa coming in with the low beams. Rudolph, I guess he's got the low beams as well, but it's going to be an exciting one. And speaking of Christmas traditions, I put out a post earlier this morning asking you guys, what are some of your traditions whenever it comes to the holiday season? And some of you guys gave some great answers. We're going to show that here at the 6 o'clock hour coming up on Mississippi Live Weather. We're also going to have another entry at 10. So if you do have traditions as well, go to my page, meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and go ahead and submit those today. And we will love to get those in for the 10 o'clock show and showcase some of the traditions across North Mississippi. But baking cookies, I feel like that's a household staple whenever it comes to those Christmas Eve plans. All right, Futurecast tonight. We're continuing to see those dry conditions overhead with partly cloudy skies. That's really what to expect all the way up into that fog starts to build into those early a.m. hours. So our evening remaining calm, Christmas Eve shaping up perfectly. But then we get into our Christmas morning and watch how things start to change. And you won't really see it too much. It's going to be that fog that's developing underneath all of this cloud cover. So the moisture for sure there, and it's going to be in place for a large part of North Mississippi, resulting in some patchy fog during those Christmas morning commutes, especially where those winds are a bit calmer. Now, as we head into that morning forecast, of course, temperatures going to follow suit. Moisture in the air blankets that heat, keeps it around, and that's why we're going to be 54 Amory, 54 Columbus, 57 Grenada, 59 Cleveland, Clarksdale, Tunica, all the way up northwest into South Haven. So if we keep that Futurecast moving, blanket of cloud cover does remain in place. So your Christmas morning, going to be dry, but going to be relatively gloomy with how much cloud cover we'll be seeing. That carries over into those mid to late morning forecasts as well. And what this is telling me right here with all of this moisture is that not exactly are we going to see rainfall, but we are going to see that cloud cover remain overhead just because it is still a very saturated forecast. So that's in place by 9, by 10, and even into that noontime hour as we get into our Christmas lunchtime plans. So heading out the door for any lunchtime forecast, of course, it is going to be dry, despite some of that green showing up. I expect a lot of that to be elevated, and with that gloomy pattern, I think we'll be dodging a large part of those rain chances as well. Your Christmas afternoon shaping up again perfectly. It's looking like an ideal forecast and one that you can head outside and enjoy because of how dry and warm things will be, and that carries over into those evening plans as well. So if you have, you got to go to one family in the morning and the other family in the afternoon. If you have both sets of grandparents, well, either way, you're looking like a good forecast. Either way, you're getting those mild temperatures. So that carries over to your 6 o'clock hour on your Thursday, but these high temperatures, we're talking about record-setting heat today, potentially talking about it again for our Christmas, because we're talking 76 in Tupelo, 76 Amory, 77 Houston, 75 in Greenwood, and those dark reds, I know we don't have reporting stations there, but that's actually 79 to near 80 degrees. And you can see our record, 78 degrees set in 1987. Potential that we tie that record as well. Definitely one we're paying attention to here at Mississippi Live Weather. All right, let's keep this forecast rolling all the way into our Thursday night, our Christmas night, and Friday morning. And that cloud cover still remains overhead. It's going to be a little bit of some breaks in that as we get into those overnight hours, but that cloud cover building as we get into our Friday. So unfortunately, can't escape the clouds as we get into the post-Christmas time frame where we get to enjoy those gifts, enjoy that time with family carrying over into the weekend. Either way, it's going to be a good forecast, just a gloomy forecast at that. Then watch what happens. And we talked about this at the 5 o'clock hour, how there's just basically a pump fake, my basketball reference for the day, a pump fake of a cold front that moves into the area. So 6 a.m., you see that front and you think, well, that's headed our way for sure, bringing us that cold air we've been waiting on. Not exactly the case. Let's trend that into the noontime hour. And as you can see, it starts to lift a little bit more north, basically just right on the edge of Memphis and never fully moving into the area. And that starts to recede up there towards the northeast. And we're still left with those southerly winds kicking up that Gulf moisture and that Gulf heat. So if you're wanting the cold air, it's not going to be here by Friday, not going to be here by Saturday. It takes until that next frontal system before we start to see some effects. Luckily, it does remain pretty dry as that cold front takes a lot of that moisture out towards the northeast. Maybe the occasional sprinkle, not an impossibility, but I think a lot of this stays elevated like we've been seeing for the past few days now. So heading into your start of your weekend, staying dry, staying relatively cloudy, but then things start to shift in the pattern beyond. We'll look at that in just a moment. We're high temperatures Friday. Once again, potentially record-setting heat, 78 degrees in Bruce, 76 Houston, 75 in Tupelo, 76 Greenwood, Belzona, and Grenada, as well as 70 Red Bay, 72 around Iuka. All right, let's get a look at that Christmas day planner, that Christmas forecast. 7 a.m., 57 degrees, still with that patchy fog for the morning commute. As the day goes on, 76 degrees is where we top out at around 3 p.m. So is that warm enough for you? Does it feel like Christmas? Are you dreaming of a white Christmas? Unfortunately, you're from Mississippi, and that's not exactly going to be the case. All right, let's get a look at when you can expect that cold weather. Not going to be Christmas, but what's our next holiday? New Year, 2026, bringing those cold conditions. New Year's Eve, 48 degrees. New Year's Day, 46 degrees. Significant cool down from where we sit right now, and mostly clear conditions heading into that new year, wrapping up 2025 and heading into 2026. Can you believe it? The new year, right around the corner. I know it's still Christmas, but New Year's 7 days away, so we still got to look at that forecast. Speaking of forecast, what can we expect for Christmas? Well, we just talked about it, 57 climbing to 76 degrees by our Christmas afternoon. But as we get into our Friday, our Saturday, and our Sunday, mid-70s remain in the forecast. That front starting to be kicked a little bit later into our Sunday night and Monday morning, and that's when things will really start to shift heading into the start of our Monday as temperatures go from 74 Sunday afternoon to 34 Monday morning. A 40-degree swing? Man, that's going to be a drop. I've been on roller coasters before, but I don't think I've ever been on one that steep. 34 climbs to only 41 degrees by Monday afternoon, and then heading into our New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, you can see the forecast. Not only is it going to be cold during the afternoon, it's going to be frigid during those mornings and during those New Year's Eve celebrations. 22 Tuesday morning, 23 Wednesday morning, and then heading into New Year's as well. So unfortunately, just can't escape the cold, but we'll continue to assess this in more detail. Also breaking down that Christmas forecast, talking about Christmas traditions. We're also tracking Santa for the little ones out there wondering where he is and when he's getting to Tupelo or when he's getting to North Mississippi. We'll have a breakdown of where he's at coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in the next 60.
The bravest thing that my dad has done has been going back to school.
It wasn't when he first enlisted, it was when he found his first support group.
The bravest thing she did is when she asked for help.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
You wonder how they're going to experience the real world in real safety, where all kids are welcome and everyone has a path forward to new skills, advancement, leadership, something they will carry with them the rest of their lives.
Well, welcome into the Room to Room Weather Center for Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We're going to start our next part of the show with a look at our Merry and Bright Christmas light promo. Unfortunately, this is the last day of the promo because tomorrow's Christmas, so those Christmas lights probably coming down beyond that point. But we want to appreciate some of our folks here in North Mississippi, and we have some good ones to wrap up our 2025 Merry and Bright Christmas lights. Let's go ahead and get started. First one being Orion, and I love this photo. I've been keeping it on ice for a while now because I wanted to use it on Christmas Eve. Reason why? These windows, hand painted. That is just some impressive decorations. I love going to the store and buying decorations, putting those up. The fact that you would make something homemade and it look as good as it does, that's just impressive, and one that I definitely wanted to show off here on Christmas Eve. Same thing over there on the other window as well. Just a great looking sight. And Ryan, it's just so cool. And I think you said that your wife did this, painting those windows and getting them to look absolutely fantastic. So thank you for submitting that. Our weather watchers out in the field, and I know I'm biased. I had to include this because we did work so hard, especially my beautiful bride, Annalise. This is a look at the Maynor household for our Merry and Bright Christmas light promo. And as you can see, we have the multicolored lights. I love the big bulbs. I had to get them last year whenever we were decorating the house. And so that's been a Maynor household staple. And of course, we have the cross because reason for the season, baby Jesus, always got to remember that. And we have that, of course, front and center at the Maynor household. We are so grateful for the season, so grateful he came down to earth, but so grateful that we get to see these lights as well. It's just so many things to be excited about this Christmas season, and we thank you guys for joining us every single day of December as we have looked at multiple lights across North Mississippi, and they will only get bigger and better as we move into 2026. So let's go ahead and get into that forecast. First, starting with travel plans. I know a lot of folks are looking to travel out and about for your Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The highest travel impacts, and if you've seen it on radar throughout the day, has actually been out in California with several flash floods issued just because of how much rainfall they've been receiving. And that has had effects all the way into Denver, Colorado, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Billings, Montana. So for folks heading out west, unfortunately, it's not been a great forecast. But as we move into our Christmas holiday, it doesn't really get much better. We still see those high impacts right around Los Angeles, moving up there towards San Francisco, with those moderate impacts all the way into Denver, Albuquerque, and Billings once again. We also see moderate impacts Chicago, Buffalo, and Minneapolis. That's that next frontal system we were tracking just a moment ago, bringing with it some rainfall and potential snowfall as a result. depending on how cold things get. But either way, if you're traveling up north or traveling way out west, we want you guys to be safe and accommodate for those hazardous travel conditions. All right, speaking of travel, big man's out and about, traveling across the United States, or across the world, I should say. Where is he at tonight? Well, our Santa tracker will tell us exactly that. And as of right now, we got to go all the way towards the east, starting in London, in the United Kingdom there. That's where he's traveling through right now. But he is looking to head a little bit more south once he drops all those gifts off to Paris, France, and maybe see the Eiffel Tower. But he's seen it a lot of times. I mean, that man's... he's up there in age, but as we move further towards the south, he is going to be heading to Madrid in Spain and going to be enjoying a great forecast down there as temperatures are hopefully a little bit warmer. So as we look at that extended forecast, of course, Santa moving into town as we get further into those overnight hours. Kids, you're just not asleep just yet, so he can't come into town. We'll be tracking the latest on that at 10 o'clock and see where things stand. But you got to go to sleep before Santa comes into town so he can drop off those gifts for you for Christmas morning. Our Christmas Day planner, one of the gifts we'll be receiving is the warm air. The other one is that patchy fog. 7 a.m., already seeing that develop, and those partly cloudy conditions extend beyond that point. But 76 degrees on your Christmas Day, definitely nothing to shrug about. That is a fantastic forecast. All right, speaking of forecast, or speaking of the Christmas holiday, we do have something special we want to show you. And that is, what's your tradition? And one of the things we asked earlier on this Christmas Eve has been, what's your holiday tradition? How do you like to spend it? What do you do? And we had several submissions, and we're going to include some at 6 and some at 10 o'clock tonight. And again, if you do have any of those traditions, submit those on meteorologist Gabe Maynor, my Facebook page. It's the first post on that page, and just drop that in there, and we'll get it in the show at 10. Okay, my wife submitting the first one, again, very biased towards my beautiful bride. It was picking an ornament every year for each other, and it's something new, something that was fitting for the year. We've done it. I have hers right now. She'll open it come Christmas morning, so excited about that. We might do it tonight, so it can be on the tree for at least one night. And then we, of course, get the family ornament as well. So we just always like to do things that are synonymous with the year so we can remember it and have that on the tree to remember forever. Christmas Eve breakfast to enjoy time together. That was Judy submitting that tradition. I love that. We went and had breakfast this morning with family, and there's just something so valuable about being with family this time of year, and it just means the world to get to spend that time with them. Having Christmas at Mom and Dad's, that was Debbie submitting that one. And we've always been the stay-at-home type Christmas, but I know several people like to travel to just go be with family. And we'll be doing that moving into this weekend with some of my family back in Birmingham, or my parents back in Birmingham. And so we're excited to get to spend time with them. So, but yeah, it's just so cool getting to see all the different types of traditions, maybe starting some new ones or sparking some ideas for you as you head, oh man, I apologize there. Woo! We're good. I got to make it to Christmas, guys. But if you're looking to spark any new ideas for your Christmas holiday, well, maybe this will do exactly that. But go ahead and drop those down on Facebook, meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and we'll showcase those coming up at 10 o'clock. I do want to note, I'm going to say at the end, a big thank you to my mom-in-law for giving me this tie. This is our annual tie that we wear, or that I wear every Christmas or Christmas Eve, depending on what I'm working. And it kind of, it's just a fun tie. It's so festive. It gives the vibe of the season, and that is just celebratory. And we are definitely celebrating our Christmas season right now. So I hope you guys do enjoy it, courtesy of Miss Holly. Appreciate that, Miss Holly, running this annual tradition for a couple of years now. I do see some folks in chat. Merry Christmas to everybody that is in the chat. And I do hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas Eve, fantastic Christmas morning. Santa brings you everything you want, but do not forget the reason for the season, and that is baby Jesus. We appreciate him so much, and that is the greatest gift that we could ever have here during your Christmas holiday. Speaking of gifts, another gift you could give folks is screenshotting this screen right now. Here, I'll give a thumbs up. And whenever you screenshot it, send it to your loved ones. Go ahead and download the Mississippi Live Weather app right now. It's free and available, and free sounds pretty good whenever you're giving someone a gift, especially a gift this meaningful. So not many things that have this value that are free. So we appreciate that and appreciate what you guys do and appreciate everything that North Mississippi has been for us. You guys are our family. You guys are our friends, and I hope that you guys do have a very Merry Christmas. Our next broadcast happening at 10 o'clock tonight. Can't wait to see you guys there. But beyond that, we got to get to bed early so Santa will come and drop off those presents. We'll see you guys at 10 o'clock. You guys have a terrific Christmas Eve. Have a Merry Christmas ahead. We'll see you back here at 10.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce. We all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.